right, a little bit of road noise here. Had an opportunity while I'm in Kentucky to stop by here at Old Glory Distillery here in Clarksville, Tennessee. Just across the Kentucky line. So looks like an old building. It's actually purpose built for what they're doing. Just had lunch in the restaurant. Phenomenal food. So let's go in and take a look at a little B-roll here before we get started.
We have 4 mats here. You got myself, Mr. Cunningham, 5, one of our tour guides is Matt, and then our GM in the restaurant is Matt as well. So there's plenty of us. So if you're ever up here and you see me, I go by Carter. First off, welcome to Old Glory. We're a small family-owned distillery here in Clarksville, Tennessee. Matt Cunningham opened the front doors of this place in 2016. So October 11th of 2016. So we're actually approaching our 10-year anniversary this year. We're pretty excited about that. Got a lot of fun stuff going on, a few different releases, so pretty excited to get that out. But Matt's a Clarksville native. He graduated here locally from high school, moved off to Arkansas, where he graduated from the University of Arkansas. And he graduated there with his finance degree. And what ended up really happening is he didn't want to sit behind a desk all day, doing finance stuff. So he moved back to Clarksville, became a firefighter. Right across the street from us here is Station 9, and that's where he was stationed when he moved back here in 2012. Now at that point is when he started working on our business model here for the distillery and ended up opening those front doors on October 11th, 2016. So pretty cool. I have yet to meet, somebody that started a distillery, at 26 years old. I think that's pretty cool. I'm an Oklahoma kid, so back then it was either cows or oil. So not even thinking about this stuff, but pretty cool. But yeah, let's get you guys on tour of the distillery here and go check out some fun stuff.
Okay.
Welcome to the distillery here. We want to be known for our bourbon and Tennessee whiskey, so we use 2 types of mash bills here. Our Tennessee bourbon is going to be a mash bill of 73% corn, 19% rye, and 8% malted barley. For the Tennessee whiskey, we take out that rye and we throw in 19% wheat. So it's still going to be 73 corn, 19% wheat, 8% malted barley. Like I was saying, we are a small family-owned distillery. When we opened our doors in 2016, we started on a 500-gallon Vendome pot still, which we'll go take a look at here in a bit. In 2021, we upgraded to a 24-foot column still. And that's just, we've been really laying some whiskey down with that guy. The pot still, we only make about 5-6 barrels a day. The column still, we can produce 16-17 barrels a day off of that. So really upped our production there. But we are also a sweet mash facility here, which means if you don't really know the difference in a sour mash and a sweet mash, essentially with the sweet mash, we're going to have a short fermentation cycle, which is usually 3 to 5 days long. And then we'll go through and completely steam clean out all those tanks. You want to be able to start fresh and clean every single time. And it's also a little bit easier to control your fermentation doing it that way as well. Now, on the sour mash side of things, your fermentation's a little bit longer, usually 6 to 9 days. And then they're going to add some setback or distilled grains that they pulled off when they were running their stills. They'll add about 30% back to that tank and then put that new mash on top. So it's a really cool way to secure some legacy in that, right? You choose a yeast strain. If you're Jack Daniels or Jim Beam, you've had that same yeast strain for 100 plus years, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so we run 6 fermentation tanks. 4 of them are going to be across our front row here, and we have 2 more in the back as well. We have 1 beer tank that's hooked up to our column still here. With a column still, like again, it's a process that can run 24/7, so you have to have a big vat you can pull out of for that. And then of course we do have 1 cooker here as well, which is this guy right behind me. Now, kind of on the flip side here, this is going to be our hammer mill. If you've ever seen the inside of one of those, kind of looks like the bottom of a bush hog or your dish disposal at home. But essentially what this is going to do for us is take those grains, it'll mill them down to almost a powder. From there, they're going to be conveyed up and over the top of me here and into that mash cooker.
I'd say that's probably one of the smallest hammer mills I've ever seen in a distillery.
Yeah.
And I've seen some small distilleries, but theirs was much larger than that.
Yeah, and this thing will grind up some grain for us too.
And these are your grain bins?
No, those are actually just some holding
your grain
tanks
bins
for
are
us
outside.
here.
Okay, gotcha.
And we don't really have grain. We have grain bins out there, but they're not in use yet. We do everything via like the 2,500 pound sacks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, the stainless steel tanks that are right here behind us, whenever our white dog comes off the still, we pump it around the room and it gets put into these tanks. When we get that truckload of barrels in, we'll bring those barrels in here, fill them up, take them on out to the barrel house.
Okay.
But the big tanks there, they were originally going to be some fermentation tanks for us in the future. These were actually our very first fermentation tanks. They're just a hair under 1,000 gallons. We upgraded from these to the 2,500 gallons, and then at one time these were going to be our future fermentation tanks, switching them over. But right now we're just housing distillate in them for projects and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Now, bringing those things through the door, I wasn't here when they did that, but they laid them down on their side, had to drag them through the door, cut the legs off to stand them up, and then re-weld those back on. So it was a process. Let's go take a look at these stills. So we use local grains here as well as far as our distillation. So we get our corn and wheat from Longview Farms. We get our rye and malted barley from Beatty Farms out of Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Okay.
But this is the 500-gallon pot still I was mentioning. Are you guys pot still people? Like, do you guys like the flavor of a pot still over a column? Or
for me, and I've been into the bourbon for 50 years, some of the early stuff you could get a burned flavor off of it when they were truly firing by fire, underneath them. So I have a little bit of that that's still ingrained in me that I don't always enjoy. It's a different flavor though, that you can pull off of it rather than a column still. Absolutely.
It's not a trick question because I was a column guy because I'm a big bourbon head as well, but I was a column guy. Like it's a little bit softer. You got a lot of flavor out of it. But it wasn't until I came here and really started doing a deep dive into the barrel house, I fell in love with pot still. I fell in love with our pot still stuff. And there's a few other craft distilleries out there that make some really good pot stuff as well. So,
common that you know what each distillery uses, whether they use
it's just one of those things. You take so many tours that you eventually or you watch YouTube and you see tours of distilleries and see what they're using.
You're interested in it, you learn.
Absolutely. Yeah. So before here, I was the end of production. I was the bourbon guy at the end of production, right? Coming here and learning the process and everything is really mind blowing. It's simple, yes, but there's so many different things to it that you can tweak this one little thing and your flavor changes drastically. Or
you can't run the volume out of these that you can run out of that column.
And our column over there, it's a small guy compared to most of your like legacy distilleries that'll have them. I think Jim Beam said that theirs was 125 foot tall and like 6 feet around or something like that, compared to 24 foot tall and 14 inches around. But this is our baby here. We currently run mostly gin, vodka, and moonshine off of it. Occasionally we'll run some bourbon off of it. Most of our bourbon production now is going to come off that column. But I don't know if you guys have heard of what we call a queen share. So we take the heads and tails of distillation off this guy. We will collect those and we will redistill those into what we call a queen share. And then we'll put that in the barrel house for 5-6 years. Usually pretty good.
Okay.
If there's one down, I'll let you guys try a little bit of it. But it's pretty good stuff. A big part of your flavor is when, making those head cuts and those tail cuts, because, too far into the heads and you're going to have some astringent fruit versus some nice fruit flavors. And of course, too much in your tails is going to be it's like you're drinking oil, right? So,
but that's where the lipids and the viscosity, to your point, a lot of that comes from is in those tails.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now, in 2021 here, we upgraded to our column steel. It is also a Vendome as well. Again, it is 24 foot tall, 14 inches in diameter. Produces 16, 17 barrels a day for us. But this guy's the workhorse for us now. It's a beautiful piece of equipment. One story we like to tell folks here is when we ordered this still, Matt didn't check the measurements on it, so it was too big. So we ended up having to cut a big old, or Matt ended up having to cut a big old hole in the ceiling up there and painted it black. So it was pretty funny. But yeah, you know, these types of stills, they just produce a nice, it's not really a harsh flavor. Even in the white dog, you can taste some white dog from some places and it's kind of harsh. But here, man, the double distillation really smooths that stuff out where we like it. But we bring it off our column here at 110 proof. We'll send it over here, of course, get it turned back into a liquid. From there, we'll send it back over to our doubler. And the doubler will keep redistilling it. Our barrel entry proof here is 120. So when it comes off of that doubler, we're still separating the alcohol out of the water, raising that proof up to about 125. And of course, we'll proof it down to 120 and put it into the barrel that way. But pretty cool. I actually think last year sometime we did some single malt, some stuff like that. And I think there's a little bit of white dog in here if you want to smell it. Waft it up there if you like.
I've done this a few times, so you guys go.
Yeah. Never gets old. Come out here and smell some white dog. Yeah, but it has like, I mean, you can smell, it has a nice fruity smell just right off the white dog. It's amazing. Pretty excited. I'm not a big malted guy, so I am pretty excited to see how this stuff turns out.
I'm beginning to get into it a little bit more. It's most of the time it's so drying on the palate.
Yeah.
That's my biggest complaint about single malt.
I've never been a Whoppers fan, even since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So
The malted milk balls.
Yeah, I always had some weird astringency to it for me, so I was out. Give me a Hershey bar. But yeah, this is pretty much the distillery. It's not a large distillery, so for you guys watching this video, if you ever come here, don't expect just this grand, massive distillery. We're still pretty small, but what we're putting out is some really good stuff as well. Well, you guys want to go check out some barrels? Try a few things?
Don't twist my arm. It's a good time. Yeah, when you bring out the glasses, that's always going to be a good time.
For sure. Yeah, the barrel house here was built in 2021. It's currently our only barrel house that we have. It can hold 10,000 barrels. We're currently sitting right around 9,000. Now, I'd mentioned those contracts. That kind of takes up the rest of that space for us. So it is pretty full in here, which you guys are going to see in just a bit. But this place was built in 2021.
Okay.
So same year we upgraded to our column. And I'm glad they built this because that same year we got our column, we produced about 4,000 barrels off of it, which is a lot for us. And it really helped fill this thing up because when they first brought their 500 barrels over here, you know, yeah, you thought you had a lot of barrels, so you put them in this big space.
Yeah.
So a fun, notable barrel that we have in here right off the rip is barrel number 1. It just turned 9 years old on the 19th of February. Now the cool thing about this one is, you know, being in the beginning of opening a distillery, Matt and Nick, our master distiller, they did different entry proof points on different barrels. So that's actually 110 versus our 120 now. Our first run of column barrels that we did are 109 proof into the barrel. And those things, man, they're just nice, sub 110s on the proof, and they're just really nice. So we're pretty excited about those. I think there might still be some down over there.
So are you guys sourcing from one cooperage or multiples or?
Yeah, so for the most part, we use Kelvin cooperage on everything.
Those are very sought after.
Absolutely. So we use a Char 4 on our bourbon, and we use a Char 3 on our Tennessee whiskey. Okay. We recently just did a double oaked, our first double oaked, and we took a 5.5-year-old bourbon, put it into a Kelvin Char 4 barrel, brand new one, and let it sit there for 6 months. So it just got that super chocolatey caramel notes to it. Really good. Yeah, I'll try to find some of that and pull some down for you. But going around the corner here, you can really start seeing just kind of how many barrels we got stacked down through here. When you come and see us here at the distillery, kind of a few fun things here. There's a big stack behind you, actually. This whole stack is slated for our first 10-year product. So we got a bunch of 7, 8, and almost 9-year-old barrels sitting there. So we're getting close to having some 10-year stuff. Just got to wait a couple more years. But most of what you're going to find here is some barrel-aged rum that we did when we first opened. We have 100% rye, 100% wheat, 100% corn stacked in here. Some light whiskey, kind of hit the gambit. So we're pretty excited about that.
So I see some small barrels. So what did you guys start off maybe with doing some smalls or?
We did. We started off doing probably a couple hundred small barrels. Mm-hmm. Now, one thing you learn with small barrels is, you know, they put some oak on, but
you got to stay on top of them.
Yeah, you got to stay on top of it. Doesn't really let your grains mature the way you like it. So we did convert over to 53 gallons pretty early. But most of the small barrels that you see now are going to be barrel-aged gin. There are a few that we've put some of those, 100% wheaters in and stuff like that, just to kind of
see what happens.
See what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a fun one here. This is the next double oak project we're working on. It's our Tennessee whiskey. So it's 6 year. It was 6 years old when it went into the barrel here. And by the time it's done, it'll be about 6.5 years old. We're pretty excited about that. But the proof that it went into this barrel was 130. So my goal is to put this out in the sun when it starts getting really hot out there and, really letting it take on some of those flavors. So, but yeah, you guys want to start with this guy?
Sure.
Let's do it. Now, it's only been in there a couple weeks, but it's really, I think you'll enjoy it. And if you don't, please say so. We don't want to hide anything around here. I think it's delicious. Now, the fun thing about this, we just talked about those 25-gallon barrels. This is actually a blend of those, what went into this.
Okay.
So
it's already got some oak on it.
It's already got some of that oak impact. Looks like I need a new bung. You're welcome. You're welcome to come on up here if you want. Have you guys ever thiered out of a barrel before?
Yeah,
want to give it a go?
You guys should do this.
Never have.
All right, so it's pretty simple. This is pretty much a big straw. So you're just going to cup that hole there. You can pull it out of the barrel, and you got your whiskey there. So give her a good mix.
And if you get really good at it, you get some char to go along with it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to fill all three. You can actually fill one and pour from it. So, or four.
Or you could do all four.
All right.
Or you could do two. It's up to you. Yeah, you don't worry about making a mess. And you can give me just a smidge. There you go. That's good. Perfect. All right, gentlemen.
I've been doing that for years.
You made less of a mess than I would.
With a straw and a glass of tea.
That's right. You made less of a mess than I would have. So this has only been in the barrel for about 3 weeks. We did reuse the one we just dumped our bourbon out of, so it will be a double oaked whiskey. Okay. But we really like the flavors that come out of this barrel, so we really wanted to reuse it. And it being a brand new barrel, it's still going to have some of those nice char flavors we really want on this.
So was this your bourbon at 19 rye or 19 wheat?
This is the 19 wheat.
Okay, so it's the Tennessee
whiskey.
Okay.
The first one we did was the 19% rye. I don't know if it's down. It's back in the back there, but this is it was a fun barrel.
This is really sweet on the nose. I mean,
it really is
sweet, like a cherry, like a light cherry sweetness for me.
And this is also some of that pot distillate as well, And
the proof is not. There's no ethanol.
Almost smells like just a classic bourbon on the nose. Lots of caramel in there.
That oak impact is there though.
Yeah. So it comes on kind of strong in the beginning, and then it'll kind of ease off the backside. But
get a good hug off of it. I do.
For me, I drink this stuff every day, and it's just mouth-watering red fruit is what I get off of it.
No, that cherry really comes through on the palate. It's got the spice that's coming through is more the oak spice.
Yeah.
I'm getting on it. But that wheat, I think, is giving it that sweetness.
Yeah.
A little bit softer grain, a little bit. For me, wheat tends to be a little bit smoother, not as spicy. If you get into a rye, you'll get more rye spice off of it as well.
That's really good.
But with this one being double oaked and starting off in 25s, and that oak's going to be a little bit more prevalent. This is really good, though.
Yeah.
You're right.
Sometimes it's hard for me to, I feel like I'm biased because, you know, I've done some picks before and some people's like, I'm not, you know, I really don't like that barrel. I'm just like,
Fine, be that way.
yeah. I mean,
How long have you been here with me?
about 2 years. So I started here as a tour guide and I still do tours to this day. I love doing it. You know, it's somebody that comes in for the first time, they've never had our spirits and they try them. And, you know, when you hear craft, saying the word craft to distillery is almost a negative for we have a lot of bourbon folks because you automatically associate that with it's just going to be young. That's it, right? It's going to be young and grainy and not there yet. But people need to remember that craft distilling is just means that we distill less than 100,000 gallons a year, right? That's it. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean that you don't care about the craft, you're not trying new things. That's probably the biggest thing I think that's holding back the legacies is they either won't or they can't try new things. Because if I've bought a bottle of, you know, Henry McKenna 10 year, then I expect it to taste about the same as one I bought 10 years ago. So the craft distillers don't have that to deal with.
Right. If you've had our stuff at least 3-4 years ago, should give us another try because our stuff was young then. We were a younger distillery. Didn't really know what we're all young. Master distiller, Matt, the distillery, we're all, you know, young. Even Devin, our sales representative is. But man, just the past, you know, 2 or 3 years, we start getting some age and some flavor, and it's just been awesome. So,
Well, I mean, to your point, when it's young, it's sometimes has a little more bready note to it, you know, some things like that. This does not have that.
No,
at all. Not at all. This is a really, really good double oak.
So Caleb, our master blender, and Nick, our master distiller.
Okay.
So this awesome person is Caleb, our master blender here, the master of everything.
Hey, Caleb.
In the back. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
What's up?
Hey, how are you?
How's it going?
All right. So I had a question earlier. By the way, this is Nick, our master distiller here at Old Glory.
Nick.
He is the first employee as well.
I'm going to step a little close to you so when you talk, I can pick you up on my microphone.
Oh, man,
so
you gonna get my face after lunch?
All right, we'll get in between you so we echo it.
So what's up? What's the question?
So do you know how many pounds of corn we go through a year?
I mean, it just really depends. I mean, these are such hard questions right now just because every year is a different year for us. You know, 2020 was different than 2021, was different than 22, and so on. Our highest production year was 2023, bleeding into 24. Between those 2 years, I mean, we made probably 65% of what's in this warehouse. So those years, I mean, we went through an astronomical amount of corn. I mean, we were going through probably 10,000 pounds a day, which is pretty big for our level. Being a medium-sized producer, I mean, when we first started, our first 4 years of operation, we'd make about a barrel a day. So that's on a Monday through Friday shift. And that was torn between making bourbon and making, you know, vodka, making gin, making rum. And so we were never truly making 1 barrel a day because we were split so many ways. And then when we brought in the column still, that was dedicated completely to producing bourbon whiskey and Tennessee whiskey. And so on those years, I mean, it was an astronomical increase in grain usage. I'd actually have to probably pull out my calculator and tell you for sure. But if I were to make, you know, there was about 7 barrels per mash, and, you know, it's roughly 4,000 pounds of corn.
I was close. I think I said 10.
So 571 pounds per barrel, essentially, and then we made, let's say in 1 year, 3,000. So, yeah, it's about 1.7 million pounds of corn. For a medium producer, it's pretty big. Sure. But I think that, you know, some of the bigger producers probably eclipse us that in a couple weeks.
So we'll put the question back. Jason's a grower, so
Okay.
he's a farmer. So in Southern Kentucky.
Oh, Matt and Jason.
Yeah. So so how many tons or 1,000 pounds do you grow of corn a year, or harvest? Let's put it that way: as harvest instead of grow.
It's, for us, it'd be bushels.
Yeah.
So
That's about 30,000 bushels.
Okay.
which would be 30 semi-loads.
Yeah.
Basically. what
So
you-
one of the growers you guys buy your corn from, corn and wheat both.
Longview Farms.
Yeah,
Yep.
is someone.
They do some
So-
contract seed production with me.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, Matt's in the seed business.
Okay.
So he has growers who grow seed specifically, and then they'll clean it and they'll sell it, in future years. So,
Yeah, we've worked with Longview since the very beginning, and the first years that we worked with them was a learning curve for both of us because he produced a lot more feed than distiller quality grain, and I guess most of the grain we use nowadays probably is still on the same level as feed. We originally started with non-GMO corn, and it was because we wanted to have our vodka, say non-GMO and kind of have that. But then you also had to plant specific crops just for us. It was really hard as an independent producer and a very small time producer to even project out, what we're going to take in. And I mean, you're looking at the team here. There's a difference. You look at somewhere else, and I was having this conversation with Matt earlier, where sometimes, when we're trying to work on a project, it takes us just a little bit longer to work our way through it because there's only a few hands that really are touching everything. And sometimes that's a blessing and sometimes it's a curse. But I like it on the sense that obviously, I'm very accustomed with the people that work on our team and how we do things. But being a small time person, working on things like projections and figuring out how much seed to plant, we were pretty much just throwing darts in the dark and hoping that we could hit that. And guarantee that. And you don't know what your market's going to look like because you've never sold, past your local market. And believe it or not, 10 years later, we're still very much kind of in a similar camp. We obviously have a bigger warehouse with a lot more barrels and we've made a lot more, but we're still figuring out a lot of those cogs and what demand's going to look like. And we got to the one side of the column where we produced those 3,000 barrels in a year, and then we went back and also analyzed how many barrels we're dumping in a year, and we're like, yeah, we kind of tenfolded that, for a full year.
What other business could you be in that you've got to project what you're going to sell 5 to 10 years from now?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's so different. I originally, before I even got into this, I thought beer was going to be what I wanted to be a part of, and this is me just having a chemistry background and saying, I want to do something fun. And I looked for breweries and I looked for different things, and just in our local Clarksville market, I mean, there just wasn't much at the time. This was 10 years ago. And this distillery had just opened. And honestly, 10 years later, I'm so much happier that I jumped into the distilling world than the brewing world, just because the brewing world got so saturated so quick. And, the distilling world's hitting the same thing, but we're still very much a little bit more niche on the things that we can do. And but yes, back to your point, making beer, I could produce a beer and turn around and sell it in a tank, draft to people and immediately turn a profit within like 2 weeks. But you're right. In this industry, I have to make a barrel that I'm hopefully going to use in the next 2 to 8 years and know that I didn't just produce more than I'm ever going to need, right? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of capital investment into it, and cash flow is definitely, I think, a bigger consideration. I mean, it's a consideration for any business, but like you said, yeah, I don't know any other industry where you're like, I think I'm going to need this much of something in 8 years. Yeah. Right? It's almost like a bank.
Right.
Hope the stock market does good.
Yeah.
Hope the
this is the kind of thing that makes actuaries, not sleep for weeks, trying to figure this out.
Yeah, there's been times where I probably didn't sleep as well, thinking about just all the different things we had going on and, different production ideas. And, we do a lot of co-packing and a lot of contract production. So that's other big integer to our equation. It's not just producing for ourselves. I'd say probably back to what I said, 60% of what's in here is probably ours, and then the other 40% is contract storage.
65% of what's in here right now, y'all produced in 23 and 24?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So when we came into 23, I want to say we only had about 5 to 600 barrels. And then through 23 is when we really started hitting that high speed and started picking up. And into 24, we went from barrel number 500 to, barrel number 6,000. So it grew pretty quick, and that's just a testament to the sheer efficiency and production capability of a column still versus a pot still. I mean, there are ways that we could probably run our pot still more efficiently, but yeah, the column is an animal, and you feed it, and it also puts out a lot of spent materials that you also have to figure out how to get rid of. And so
I've never heard it explained that way. I'm gonna start using that on my tours.
Yeah. Well, the pot still is such a nuance. It's like you sit there and I have to turn every valve, and it's almost like you have to speak to it. So I think it's like more artistic in a way, and I'm not saying anything against the column still. The column still is very much an art element too. It just has more tools. It's, you know, as a computer that I could kind of gear every single aspect of what it does, and you know, it's running 5 to 6 gallons per minute. Well, pot still is running the 500 gallons that I put into it for 8 hours, right? So, you know, when you break that down, I mean, you end up with 1 barrel or you end up with 7 barrels, at least by the percentage of our mash that's alcohol.
So can you just walk through quickly, because I know it's multiple levels of plates that mash is coming back down through. So for these guys, for the viewers, just a 30-second, 35,000 foot level of what a column still is.
I'll try to give it in layman terms and probably more, informational terms, I guess. But the layman of it is a pot still. I like to think of it like putting a pot of water on the stove, and you go to boil your pot of water, and you got to wait 30, 40 minutes for it to heat up. And then once the boil gets going and you see the vapor, similar to the pot still, there's an hour, 2-hour heat up time. And then you start collecting all the alcohol from it, and you fraction, you make a heads, hearts, and tails cut, which is just what comes off first is heads, the middle section is the good section, the hearts, and then the tails is where the alcohol in the pot got so low that now you're boiling oils, and you don't really want that in your whiskey, so you have to fraction those. Well, take that concept and make, a bunch more pot stills and a bunch more fractions, and you all of a sudden end up with a continuous column. And what's continuous about it is that it's continually being pumped in at the top with beer, and that beer is falling down all of these trays while steam is coming in from the bottom, and it essentially creates a fraction between all of the trays. So the bottom tray is pretty much no alcohol, because by the time the mash makes its way down, all the steam has vaporized the ethanol up. And then what's happening is it's just a continuous process. New in, old out at the bottom, steam coming in and pushing all the vapors up and working its way up to the top. And then by the time you get to the top of the column, you have 4 trays that have no beer in them. It's all vapor. And so it's just fractioning that. So it's like little mini distillations on those plates. And it comes off as a clear liquid. So best way I can explain it is pot still, you boil one big solution. The column still, you're boiling 20 to 40 different solutions, but just in a continuous process. So that made it sound probably super complicated, but it's really just higher alcohol content at the top, lower alcohol content at the bottom, because steam is going through and vaporizing everything. And he took y'all in there and y'all looked at it, right?
Yes.
Did y'all look inside of it by chance?
No.
Mine on your way out, I would probably get in there with your camera and just look on the inside, and you'll see the plates themselves are perforated, so that means they're just punched with holes. And what that does is it keeps the solids up, and the steam has a way to go up, and the alcohol vapors have a way to go up. So it creates little layers of alcohol or beer. We call it beer. It's distiller's beer. It's the mash that has the alcohol and all of the grains still in it, and it's boiling in that area because the vapor is keeping it up from going through the perforation. And then you have pipes that go up and down on either side, and so it creates a layer, and once that layer gets high enough, it'll go down the pipe to the next level. And so it just creates a bunch of zones of distillation. And so it's just a very, very high level of operation, but when you actually see it working, it's a very simple, beer's getting pumped in and steam's going through it and separating all of the alcohol just in a continuous process.
How many barrels are in here at the moment?
So in this room,
No, exactly. I want to know exactly.
yeah. I couldn't tell you exactly, but I think in our inventory we have about 8,300 barrels, and I want to say there's about 500 over there. So I mean, there's probably about 7,800 in this room right now.
Is there any reason why some are stored vertically versus horizontal?
Most of that's just really a creation of the barrel itself. So like for these ones you see stored on their sides, those are contracts that we do for other people, or if it's something we do like a wine barrel, they don't typically have a top bung. And so we have no other way to rack it other than racking it like that. For most of the barrels you see in here that are stood up, I mean, this is how our warehouse was designed. And so we also bought barrels with the envisionment that this is how we're going to store them. And so they have a top bung and a side bung. So you can see these ones they have a top bung exclusively, but if you notice,
Yeah, there were some over here. Well, there's some over here that have got the side bung.
Yeah, that one has a side bung.
Yeah, but they also have top bungs. And then after a while, I was like, man, most of my leaks are coming out of the side bungs. Let's just get rid of the side bungs. And so we got completely rid of side bungs for any barrels that we order for ourselves.
There are so many now who do it this way because they don't have to put that infrastructure in of those ricks and everything else. And it appears to be that it's quite a bit safer. going this way.
It is. It's also just for the way that we operate, I'm a little bit more economical on time. I mean, if I had to plan ricks and for one, balance a warehouse, but two, also the way you load it structurally, like you said, I mean, there's a lot more planning in it. And so like if I need one particular barrel, it's just a different world you live in. For this instance, like I know that this column has X amount of barrels in it at this varying age. We know exactly what pallet they're on and at what point in this warehouse they are in our system. And so if I look at the system and say, I need this pallet and it's on the second, row, top 5, whatever, we can come in and all we have to do is remove a few rows and then, we can get to a pallet. And either way, I mean, there's a warehousing element to it. But the biggest thing that people argue with ricks is that they allow for airflow, because airflow is what essentially allows the oxidation or the maturation of your spirit. I look at it 2 ways in aging. It's like a tea. You put tea in hot water and you let it sit, and the longer it sits, the more it extracts. Same thing with a barrel. I mean, you put it into a barrel, the longer it sits, the more it extracts, up until a point where maybe it gets too tannic, which is like the sour, bitter kind of component from the wood. But there's not just that. There's also what I like to call is the real maturation or the oxidation, and that's the interaction of the whiskey breathing in and out of the barrel and interacting with the atmosphere outside. And that's what causes all sorts of chemical reactions that create those deep flavors that people like to get. When you smell something, you say, okay, it's got fruit. A lot of that is attenuated to esters and different kind of chemicals that really were just reacting with oxygen and changing over time.
The biggest problem we have probably in here is the mat share. Everybody's heard about the angel share, but we have the mat share as well. And whatever ghost keeps taking our whiskey is crazy. So finally let me come in here and try barrels for work purposes. And
you got a tough life, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah. Everybody that talks to me, they're like, man, you have the coolest job ever. You can just like chill and drink. And I'm like, man, I do so many spreadsheets. The last thing I want to do is do a spreadsheet and have a buzz. This is the guy that took that job from me and does a lot more of the drinking here. And so does Caleb. He does a lot of our blending. There's different elements to it, and I enjoy partaking and choosing of things. And, for me, I think the cool thing about all this is the creation of it, the analytical science behind it, and kind of how to build the business and where to take it next. And then I like to have team members that help me do a little bit more of the drinking and blending element. So
you don't want to take an Uber home every day.
That's right. That's right.
No, Nick is awesome. So I mean, being a bourbon nerd, it's always fun to have Nick come in here when you're trying something, and he gives you like the science of why this blend or batch was this way, and I just love that.
Sometimes a little too high level, and then I can tell if I see a little droll, I need to drop it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And that is 100% accurate. Sometimes it's like the fuzz on the TV. You're just like, you just keep squinting.
What's he trying to say?
Yeah.
What's he trying to say?
Well, that was excellent.
Thank you.
That double oak was absolutely excellent.
Yeah, so we did originally, I'm sure he told you, but originally we filled it with a bourbon, and that was the first oaking. And then now it's filled with Tennessee whiskey from some of our 25-gallon barrels that we dumped, and we're essentially doing a secondary finish on that. And so this barrel is going to help us realize how many times we can oak something before we probably need to buy new containers.
6 weeks or 6 months?
Right now, it's just been in there for a couple weeks.
Yeah. So that one right there was filled at the beginning of the month, so on the 6th.
So you plan to leave it in there?
Until it tells me it tastes good, right? Really, it's just a trial by fire right now. I mean, we check it. Some of us more than others, but we check it and we write down notes and we see what we think about it until essentially it hits the point that we feel like it's perfect for what we want it to be.
Yeah.
The first one I want to say was in there for
A little over 6 months.
Yeah, about 6 months.
6.5, almost
So,
7 months.
Matt, I'm going to send you a box of Boston Rounds and some shipping labels. And you can just, whatever you taste, you can just.
I actually have plenty of Boston Rounds, but they keep disappearing. I don't know why.
Yeah,
No, okay.
Imagine that. Yeah.
Devin Puckett? That's Devin. That's not me.
Yeah.
Because I know he's going to watch this, so it's good. Have you tried it yet?
I've just been chilling, man.
I want to hear your
Smells
thoughts on
great.
it, just after a couple weeks. Because I told them.
Have you had it since it went in there? He hasn't.
Like I said, I mean,
Slacker.
I tried it last week, but yeah.
A few times.
Yeah, a few times.
I mean, I love the nose on it.
Yeah.
No, it's so the oak's not going to be as harsh as when we first filled that up, because the first time we filled it was a brand new barrel. So it doesn't have like such a harsh oak on it now, But man, it just
Almost seems like it's a little bit of fruit from the bourbon before
Right?
it, yeah.
Oh,
It's almost got a little bit more red fruit, which typically
It's
our
a very
Tennessee
red
whiskey
fruit.
doesn't. Yeah,
forward.
we may have a third of barrel by the time we get done with that one.
that's right. And I actually talked to some people.
What's
and
your weight limit on your F-150? My 450 will carry it without a doubt, I know. So.
Yeah, but one thing I had heard from some people about double oaking things is that the higher the actual char content that you do, you don't really end up with a astronomically more aging because that char almost acts like a filter.
Yeah.
And pulls some of that out. So
It's like I find toasted barrels, when you do a toast, I find them to be more tannic than double oaks.
yeah. And and this is a 4 char, so I mean it's almost as char as you can get it. And the first thing we did, I mean, it definitely had, impact from it, but it wasn't quite as impactful as I originally thought it would be. Like I thought I put it in there for 2 weeks and it would be just like a charcoal bomb, and it was definitely not.
Yeah. No, they kept asking. First 2 weeks it was a charcoal bomb. By probably month 4, it started mellowing out.
True.
So you guys
Yeah.
are just doing single barrel of this, so this will probably just be in your gift shop, available there. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Hopefully we'll get to release this one sometime this year.
And that's another question I have. So what states do you distribute to?
So currently we're only distributed in Tennessee.
Okay.
Now we do work with some distributors outside of Tennessee to get folks a barrel if they pick one.
And not to mention, we also do the online store. So I mean, we can be picked up in every single state, but as far as the 3-tier, that we're only distributed in Tennessee.
Okay.
And most of that was because when we started doing this, I mean, our big vision for what we did with the Old Glory name was that anything that says Old Glory Tennessee whiskey, Tennessee bourbon had to be produced here. It was a big element. We didn't want to source anything. Not that we have issues with sourcing. I mean, it's an element that I believe in when you're transparent about it.
Right.
And that's to say that we could eventually one day decide to source too, but that will never be part of the Old Glory brand. It would be under its own brand name. And so for us, we didn't want to say that, hey, we're going to branch out into all these states, and then all of a sudden we hit a demand and we're producing, a few barrels a day and we can't keep up with that demand. And in some ways, a lot of people think that's a great thing. In our philosophy, we didn't want to think that we could make, 2, 3, 4, 5 first impressions. It was one first impression. So whenever we decide to branch outside of Tennessee is when I think we feel most comfortable with the inventory we have. And a lot of that I think is probably in what we produced in the column. And our biggest bump in inventory is probably at the 2-year mark right now. So I would envision, not saying anything, don't hold me down for it, but I would say in a couple years, we'll probably start seeing, our product going a little bit further.
My first experience with your product was from Southern Collective,
Okay, cool.
and trying both the wheat and the rye, high rye or mash bills.
Yeah.
At those, and my son picked the rye, I picked the wheat, and then I was like, okay, yeah, we gotta make our way, down here to see these guys.
For sure.
So
Yeah, Southern Collective has been a great relationship for us just because they obviously have a different segment of the population. I feel like they definitely cater to that single barrel picking and
Right.
that really cool element. And so being able to hang out with them and taste barrels and have them select some and take it, I mean, it's just been great we've probably, entertained quite a few people that have just gone this same route.
The cool thing about Southern Collective is they take us outside of Tennessee.
It's so interesting just working in this industry and seeing how relationships develop and how your product spans out there. And, the way I used to look at it 10 years ago is not how I look at it today. And it's a great process. And
yeah, to the point about Southern Collective and what they were doing, we were there on a Tuesday. They were actually closed, but, called and said, hey, can we come in, or are you open? And Ryan wasn't there. J-Rod or J-Rock was, and he's like, oh yeah, just tell me when you get in the parking lot, come on in. And so we tasted there, had some bottles done. We had some things with us he hadn't had, and we're just trading pours around. And
J-Rock's a cool dude.
yeah,
Yeah.
and he was he works with Brewzle, some who everybody knows Brewzle's the biggest bourbon social media channel in the world. So
Yeah, he is.
and a great guy too, by the way, TJ.
Yeah, he is. He's been here before. He has a couple barrels in queue, waiting to get released this year. So
Okay.
should be pretty fun.
That's something we're still growing, but we're beginning to talk to some distilleries about doing some selects. We've got to figure out the distribution because we're in North Carolina.
Well, you guys want to try some pot bourbon versus Tennessee whiskey?
Yeah.
I mean, if y'all are trying to get more, you know, I mean, we got plenty. So, yeah. Well, here's where I'm probably going to bounce out. It was a pleasure meeting y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. It's great meeting y'all. And
Yeah. Thanks for spending the time.
yeah, of course. And I'll be floating around. So if you got any more high level questions, yeah, I can take this with me. Y'all can hear me like go do my stuff. You know.
Yeah, come on over. I know you didn't. You said you hadn't peed out of a barrel yet, so I'll let you go first. You can fill these guys' glasses up if you like.
Don't fill mine as you do it.
Yeah, don't feel it by any means.
No.
A little bit in. I don't want to pull.
Definitely don't fill Rogers because he's got to drive. You and I, yeah. We'll get it to Go Cup.
Yeah, I got a few fun
That's
barrels
enough for
here.
That's good.
Just kidding.
No, it is.
And whatever you put in, don't feel like you have to drink it all. If you want to take a couple sips and bless these other barrels, you're more than welcome to. We had some folks come in and pick some. We had the Mash and Drum come in.
Yeah.
So that's his barrel there. Poor Decisions came in and picked this one. And then that whole pallet right there, the one that says sold, is also a Mash and Drum barrel. But this whole pallet of stuff right in front of you is our first run of column distillate. And you can see on the barrel there, when the entry proof on it's 109.4.
So when somebody does a barrel pick, how many different barrels do they try?
So the folks that came in, they chose from these 12 barrels here. Yeah, so usually our method, if you come pick a barrel, we'll bring you into the barrel house. We'll go through these barrels here or other barrels that we have selected for you. We'll try those.
Limit the amount what you got. You can't just say, I
mean-
want to get one of these.
Well, I mean, we want you to go home with something you 100% like just can't go home without, right? So, but during the cold, now if it's summer, it's a little different. But like in the winter here, these barrels are cold, like the whiskey's cold, and bring them up to room temperature. We'll bring out more of those baking spices and stuff like that. So we'll do a general like selection here. Come out, find a few things you like. We'll pull those, let them warm up, and we'll go grab some lunch in the restaurant. And then once we finish there, we'll come back to the lab and we'll go through those samples and let them finish choosing their barrel. I mean, everybody that's came so far has been great. We don't have anybody just get sloppy, nothing like that. Everybody's been pretty awesome so far. It's gonna happen to me one day. It's happened to myself. So
and usually when there's a group coming to pick, it's 5 to 7 people.
yeah,
Almost always an odd number, but that way there's no ties. And
we've had as many as 50.
wow.
But no, that was a group event, but it was still fun.
Yeah.
Chaotic, but it was fun. That one there, we had, like I said, we had 50 people here. We put out 8 barrels, and they got to go home they got to kind of fill their own and go home with what they wanted. So
I was going to ask, so once they've picked a barrel, how long does it wait before you guys bottle it?
So it depends. A few of these barrels are close to that like 6-year mark. Like this guy here, it'll be 6 years old on the 5th of next month. So a few of these barrels we'll let them sit and hit that 6-year mark. Then we'll bottle it up and get it to the distributor. So
That's one of the things that I hear a lot from people that are doing picks. Like there are some legacy distillers that it may be months. Mm-hmm. And so it's totally changed from the time that you picked it to the time that it was bottled.
yeah.
And I'm seeing more and more of the craft distillers, they're moving it from the wood barrels into stainless steel to stop that process.
Right.
And get it exactly how you picked it.
Yeah. No, and if that's obviously we want to bottle it as quickly as possible because in another month these can taste completely different. Mm-hmm. So you definitely want to get it bottled up as soon as possible. We don't want you to get it and it's just completely different from what you picked. But this one right here is pretty good. A lot of vanilla out of this one, a little caramel and some spice.
Yeah, definitely got the spice on
Get the
it.
spice for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely get the spice on it. That one, so this is your...
This is the pot bourbon.
Okay.
So this isn't a blend or anything. It's just a single barrel.
Okay.
That's a blend of...
It comes to the pot, not the column.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these are column here, so we can try some of that column stuff as well.
Stop it, will you?
Well, hey, we're still young.
There's a huge difference in this and what
Oh,
we just had.
completely different. Yeah.
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 Crazy how much-
And you start going through barrels and you're just it's just so much fun because there's so many different flavors you can get. Like some of these barrels here, you would think we had 35% rye in them. Like they're just like so spearmint heavy, and then you get something like this where it's just almost like a vanilla latte or something. These are full. We're gonna double oak this one.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Call me the.
I need the Milwaukee tools now.
Yeah. These bungs they're not, sometimes they're hard to work, especially when it's cold out here. They don't want to come out very well. Of course, the wood sugar's in here. Kind of all that black, what you see there is a bunch of wood sugars, and it kind of gets stuck on there as well. Grab the thief here. Oh.
I can't do it one-handed though. No wonder. I've been doing it with two hands.
So this is our column distillate versus a pot still.
Okay.
This is the first run. Went into the barrel at 109 proof versus our standard 120. So
the first that was ever run through the column?
absolutely. And then we topped it off with a little bit of pot as well. So it was kind of that transition from the pot to the column.
Pot still, he means.
Yeah, pot.
Yeah, pot still, sorry.
This is not infused. This is not THC. Yeah, this is not Delta 8. This is not.
Give them another 5 years. They'll figure it out.
Yeah,
They'll figure out how to do that somehow. But no, it's really fun. I mean, most of these, when we've proofed these low barrel entry proofs, they've only been 113, 114, 115. So they hadn't gone up much.
What's the proof in this one?
I don't remember. So it went in at 109. I don't know the current.
The one we just had.
Went in at 120. I would guesstimate that one probably around 125 proof.
I get a peach note off this one.
Well, peach ring almost. Yep. But it's again the column still is it's just a little bit more delicate, right? It takes out those kind of heavy spice notes that the pot puts off. So,
But there's a new oak. Like if you just cut a tree, you're just splitting rounds.
yeah,
That's good though. It's very.
Like the pot, but for
it depends. Some of these column barrels that are hitting that 4.5 year, almost 5 year mark are just ridiculous.
This is smoother to me.
Yeah. So this one for me, I mean, I get a little bit of milk chocolate on the back end, some raspberry kind of thing, but it's the same mash bill, same yeast strain, same everything. It's just column versus.
And this is much to your
still.
point. This is much lighter. It's not as heavy and dark as the pot still we did.
Absolutely.
Every bit as good, but just different.
Yeah.
what's in the plastic here.
So that's some of our contract stuff. That is a bunch of barrel aged gin. So from those clear totes on down on the right there is all customer projects, and then starting from those small barrels over is all of our custom projects. So the 100% wheats, the 100% corn, stuff like that. And you said you like 95.5. We have a 95% rye and a 5% malted rye sitting right there if you want to try it.
Oh, cool.
Should be just almost 8 years old, maybe.
Ooh.
6.5, 2018. So almost 8 years old. And we've never released our rye, ever. So if you want to try a little bit of it, we can try a little bit of it.
Yep. That's what when he says bless the barrels, that's what he's talking about.
Oh,
Yeah,
You just take what you got left over and
bless him. Once I can get to it. All right, gentlemen.
so 8 years
Almost 8 years.
for a rye. That's
For-
got a good color. I mean, that's a mahogany, really nice color.
Yeah, and these have been fun to go through. We produced these rye barrels. We only have about 50 of them, so it's not like we have a lot of these.
Yeah.
But man, what I've tried so far of these, I've really enjoyed.
So what do you guys get different on the note? What's your note?
Mint.
Yes, mint, citrus, that type of thing.
With the cold currently, I get like a little bit of dill off of the nose, like dill pickle. So yeah, so I want to see if you guys can pick that up. A little dill pickle, no?
Oh, from the note or?
From the nose.
On the nose. The first nosing was
Well, I mean,
was
I'd
like a
say
lime,
biscuit.
lemon lime. The dill comes in on that, get into that second nose, and
Absolutely. But yeah, it's been fun to go through these. They're, again, these are pot still rye. They're not column stilled or anything like that. So they have a lot of flavor to them. Also, the fun thing about the pot still stuff is sometimes they'll have a funky nose, but the palate is great, right? I mean, it's just out of this world. And same thing with these ryes here. They'll have a funky nose on them, but pretty tasty.
yeah, the spice really comes in. Not getting as much of the citrus as I get on the nose. Probably get, to your point, probably get a little bit more of the dill.
Yep.
Palate, everybody's palate's, different. And nobody's right or wrong, nobody's wrong, except for Raj.
Yep.
Raj is wrong.
If I had my drill out here, this is the better barrel, but I'd have to drill it. I don't know where the drill is currently, but I'll let you try something off camera here in a minute.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with this. I would say that either it was probably just a touch better when it was younger, and it'll be quite a bit better as it ages in a little bit more.
So the first bourbon pot still we tried is what this barrel reminds me of. Just rye, right? Versus that, the sweet. A lot of brown sugar off of it, stuff like that. Really good. But
there are some ryes that we've done that have been like a key lime pie.
Oh,
you
yeah.
get the graham cracker, you get the key lime, you get that, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, no, it's fun. Like I said, we have a lot of projects.
But there's nothing wrong with this one, by the way.
We have 2 sherry casks sitting down there. Again, we've never released those. We put a 4-year-old bourbon in there, and it's been sitting in those barrels for an additional 2 years, and it's excellent. There's a brandy barrel. We only have 1 barrel of brandy. I'm not a brandy guy, but that right there is ridiculous. It's 141 proof as well on that brandy.
I love some brandy.
You like some brandy?
My wife's like brandy.
Oh, your wife's named brandy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Careful, Raj, that's my niece.
But, yeah,
Just
yeah.
saying.
So, no, there's a lot of fun stuff in here. Of course, you're going to come across stuff that you like. You're going to come across stuff
Sure.
that you don't care
Right.
for, and that's part of the job. Coming out here and finding those barrels and separating them, and it's not that they're that bad. They just maybe need a couple more years on them, right?
Yeah.
So but it's fun. It's yeah, it makes me smile every time I come in here. It's just a good time. I may have to wrap up. I got
that's
something
fine.
I have to.
I appreciate everything you've done.
I do want you to try the one rye down here.
Okay.
Off camera.